Well, greetings, friends. Today's going to be a quick one. This is just something I want to say that's been prompted by some comments that I've received on some of my videos. I've been making sporadic videos lately, as I've mentioned to many of you out there in a couple of the recent videos, because I recently moved, and so things just kind of got derailed a little bit. But Appleknocker's getting back on track. Got interviews coming up. There's one I'm really looking forward to. This book, The Lightbringers of the North, Secrets of the Occult Tradition of Finland. I can't wait to talk to the authors of this book. I was given an advanced review copy by Inner Traditions, which I so appreciate. Look at, like, if nothing else, Appleknocker Radio would be awesome because I get books like this, dude. And this book is awesome. I can't wait to talk to the authors, and I cannot wait to talk about the book. But anyway, what we're going to get into very quickly, like I said, this is prompted by some responses that I've gotten on a few of my videos. Something I just want to clarify as I'm going forward, and I'm going to get back into this and take an Appleknocker to the next level, getting recommitted. Something about my position that I just kind of want to go into, and it ties into Lex Fridman and somewhat. And this was brought up by a comment by Sawyer on a previous video where he mentioned Lex Fridman, and it's funny that he mentioned Lex because I admire Lex greatly. And when I started this channel, kind of part of how I visualized it would be like I kind of wanted this to be the Lex Fridman show, but focused on topics like esotericism, the occult, spirituality, simulation theory, kind of like the weird topics that Lex does sometimes delve into. But that's how I want me to focus. And when I say I want my show to be similar to Lex's, is that the thing that I really, really admire about Lex is that Lex is a smart guy. Like, he's not a kind of smart guy. He's a really smart guy, but he approaches topics with humility and humility and no ego. And you can tell when Lex, every time I watch an interview with Lex, I'm just always struck by his sincere desire to understand the truth. And that resonates with me because that's how I am. And the reason why this comes up is that some of my previous videos got into topics that kind of like conspiracy theory type stuff. A couple of them just directly kind of conspiracy theory type stuff, but mostly connected to old stories, like Charles Manson's story and Son of Sam story. And while my videos on those topics did delve into just straight up conspiracy theory, as I've always said, my interests have always been a little different. I'm more interested in the way that I view human consciousness in its relationship to reality, something that I think is most easily conceptualized in our modern brains with simulation theory, which simulation hypothesis is really how I think it should be called, but most people call it simulation theory. And that's what interests me. Like, when I look at those kind of events, I'm really interested in like the bigger shifts in human consciousness that happen because of those events. It's the same thing with UFOs. To me, the question of whether or not UFOs are real isn't even something I'm really interested in. What does interest me is the interplay between UFOs, whether they are real or whether they are imagined, that interplay with those in human consciousness and how it moves human consciousness. I don't know if forward is right because that implies that there is an objective direction for it to head in. It may just be moving, maybe not forward, maybe it's back, sideways, forward. Who knows, right? And that's the question. Is there a finish line? Is there a finish line on which we can orient ourselves and say that the progress is moving towards there, right? Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. And so I've gotten a few comments. They tend to be on the conspiracy kind of related videos, which doesn't surprise me because one of the reasons why I've decided I don't want to be in that, like, I'm trying to pull myself away from that sphere. And one of the reasons is because for whatever reason, I don't know why this is. If I had time, I could probably sit down and read some books on psychology and what it is. But that sphere just tends to attract like really, really arrogant people who think they know everything. And that is so not me. And I am nowhere near as smart as Lex Fridman, but I'm a pretty smart guy, right? And I can say that objectively with some certain measures. But I don't even come close to believing that I understand much of anything, man. You know, like, dude, reality is bizarre. That's the whole purpose of my channel. Is reality is so fantastically, amazingly strange. Human consciousness, just consciousness, is so strange and so weird. That's what I love about it. That's what I love exploring about it, because I don't know the answers. And I honestly, really, and deeply want to know the answers, right? And I say that understanding that I probably never will. There have been much greater men than me, much more intelligent men than me, and men and women who are not only much smarter than me, but also had, say, life circumstances that allowed them to delve into these topics much more deeper than I can. And they came away ultimately not, going to their graves saying, I kind of think maybe this is what's going on, but I'm not really sure. The more I learn, the less I know for certain, right? So, dude, I am honestly trying to understand this reality. And the interesting thing is, this has made me admire Lex Fridman even more. Because in this process, what happens when somebody, I've noticed in myself, and I assume that maybe the same thing happens to somebody like Lex, whose channel is obviously 5 billion times bigger and more successful than mine. And now, I will get there, man, even though my topics are more niche and fringe topics. But anyway, so there's an interesting psychological dynamic that happens when somebody leaves a comment and says, "No, you idiot, this is what really happened." I assume every time something happens in my mind, I assume I'm not really all that different from other people. So I assume it's like a common human psychological dynamic. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But my reaction when I hear something like that, I instantly, I want to fight back. And in fighting back is I want to say, no, this is what happened. You get trapped in this ego game, right? And it's really fascinating because I think a lot of human existence is actually driven by this. This, conflict breeds conflict, And I don't... That would be a really interesting thing to really sit down and think about how that plays out in the human drama on a massive scale and how it plays out on a micro scale. But it is a dynamic in human beings is, if you go to fight, obviously there's a chance that the person's just going to back down and run away. But most of the time, you end up provoking a fight in return. It might not be in the spot. Like if you're a big and physically intimidating person and you go after somebody, you might get them to cower and run away on the spot. But it's going to come back. Like you've initiated this ego contest, right? And I can feel it happen to me when I read these comments. And I usually don't respond to them. Number one, because those kinds of people, you can't really reason with them anyway. Like they're convinced they know the answer. And especially when they're convinced they know the answer and it's based on some kind of loose evidence, that's not somebody you can have a rational conversation with. But I would still be tempted to engage with that person just out of fun. I kind of find those people amusing. They're funny to me. They're just so absurd. Such delicate little hearts, and they get so fired up over silly things. They feel this need to prove that they're right in things that nobody can really be certain are correct, right? And then meanwhile, you have these really brilliant and great accomplished people who will sit there and say, well, the evidence suggests this, and this is what I'm leaning towards, but can't really be certain, right? To me, that's a mature and intelligent and enlightened approach to things. And, the fights just breed more fights, and it's just silly. But anyway, I also don't respond to such people because I feel the pull of the ego game. I can feel it in my own mind. And I really don't want... Number one, on a day-to-day basis, I don't have the time for that. I have a lot going on every day. I'm trying to accomplish a lot of different things, both creatively, in my career, health, all these things. I don't really have time to get sidetracked in those kinds of conversations. But also, I don't want that pull of the ego, As I grow this channel, I don't want to get sucked into that. Like, I've seen it happen to other creators that... start out, I think, like honestly wanting the truth, and as time goes, they kind of get sucked into this ego game, and I don't want that to happen to me, and because I really want to know the truth. And I think that once you get stuck in that ego game, you're no longer looking for the truth. You're just defending your ego, right? Now, I'm not one of these, like, the ego has a place. Our ego exists for a reason. It's important. It's a critical tool in being a human being and functioning in this world. We need our ego. But the ego shouldn't overwhelm everything, and it's definitely, for me personally, should not overwhelm the quest for truth. I always want to stay fixed on that. It's kind of the driving force in my life, and for whatever reason, I really don't know why that is. I could probably think about it and try to figure it out, but really, who cares? We are who we are, right? At some point, I think you just, as long as the behaviors aren't destructive, I think at some point you just have to kind of embrace, like, this is the roller coaster ride I've been given in this world, man. Like, I'm blessed to have been given this life. And this blessed life that I live, the roller coaster ride I've been given, is trying to understand what the roller coaster ride is, right? It's just how it goes, man. And so anyway, I guess maybe I just want to say that because I don't know. I used to think like nobody was paying attention to the comment boards, but now I really, because I've talked to some people outside of the comment boards who have commented on the comment boards, and been like, wow, people are actually reading the comments. And so maybe I guess I just want to address that right now, kind of on the front end, because like I said, I'm about to redevote myself to this channel. It's gonna get back to growing, and that's my position on it. That's the reason why I tend to not respond to such things. If I can feel that somebody is just coming at me with this ego head, I'm not going to let myself get caught into that ego contest, because I have an ego like everybody else. And honestly, I also kind of have a bit of a temper. And so once that gets sparked, and once I start to engage in that, it just becomes me in my ego, man. And that's not good. That's not a seeker. That's not a true seeker. That's not somebody who's really looking for truth. It's just an ego head, man. It's just an ego head. That's all it is. So yeah, I just want to address that. And this is now pushing 13 minutes. I wanted this to be more like 5 minutes. So I'm going to shut this trap right now. That's my position on it. My friends, I hope you are having awesome years. I truly do. And I hope you, I hope you are in this chaos that we are living in. I'm hoping that you're able to find your north arrow. I'm hoping that you're able to find something to direct yourself towards, some kind of meaningful goal, whether that be seeking after truth, building a YouTube channel, getting a promotion at work, getting a new job, getting in shape, falling in love again, whatever it is. Best of luck to you, my friends, on your roller coaster ride, whatever your roller coaster ride may be. All right, peace out.